Hey, what's up, guys? And welcome back to my reading journey. Thank you for joining me today and hope you're all doing great. We are beginning the second part of the Holding Up a Train. So let's begin. One moment, please. All right. Okay. Beginning with the first one, we placed a man at each door and ordered the passengers to stand between the seats with their hands up. If you want to find out what cowards the majority of men are, all you have to do is rob a passenger train. I don't mean because they don't resist. I'll tell you later on why they can't do that. But it makes a man feel sorry for them the way they lose their heads. Big, burly drummers, burly drummers and farmers and ex-soldiers and high col- Colorado, dudes and sports that a few moments before were filling the car with noise and bragging get so scared that their ears flop, flip flop. There were few people. There were very few people in the day coaches at the time of night, so we made a slim hole until we got hole HAUL until we got to the sleeper. The Pullman conductor met me at one door while Jim was going round to other one. He very politely informed me that I could not go into the car as it didn't belong to the railroad company, and besides, the passengers had already been greatly disturbed by the shouting and firing. Never in all my life have I met with a finer instance of official dignity and re- reliance, dignity and reliance upon the power of Mr. Pullman's great name. I jabbed my six-shooter so hard against Mr. Conductor's front that I afterward found one of his vest buttons so firmly wedged in the end of the barrel that I had to shoot it out. He just shut up like a weak sprinkled knife and rolled down the car steps. I opened the door of this sleeper and stepped inside. A big, fat, old man came wobbling up to me. Wobbling up. Puffing and blowing. He had one coat sleeve on and was trying to put his vest on over that. I don't know who he thought I was. Young man, says he, you must keep cool and not get excited. Above everything, keep cool. I can't, says I. Excitement just eating me up, and then I let out a yell and turned loose my 45 through the skylight. The tall man tried to dive into one of the lower berths, but a screech came out of it and a bare foot that took him in the bread basket and landed him on the floor. I saw Jim coming in the other door and hollered, and I hollered for everybody to climb out and line up. They commenced to scramble down, and for a while we had a 3-ring circus. The man looked as frightened and tame as a lot of rabbits in a deep snow. They had on an average about a quarter of a suit of clothes and one shoe apiece. One chap was sitting on the floor of the isle, looking as if he were working a hard sum in arithmetic. He was trying very solemn to pull a lady's number 2 shoe on his number 9 foot. The ladies didn't stop to dress. They were so curious to see a real live train robber, bless them, that they just wrapped blankets and sheets around themselves and came out as quickly and fidgety looking. They always show more curiosity and sand than the men do. We got them all lined up and pretty quiet, and I went through the bunch. I found very little on them. I mean, in the way of valuables. One man in the line was a sight. He was one of those big, overgrown, solemn snoozer that sit on the platform at lectures and look wise. Before crawling out, he had managed to put on his long frog-tailed coat and his high silk hat. The rest of him was nothing but pajamas and bunions. When I dug into that Prince Albert, I expected to drag out at least a block of gold mine stock or an armful of government bonds, but all I found was a little boy's French harp, about 4 inches long. What it was, therefore, I don't know. I felt a little mad because he had fluted me so. I stuck the harp up against his mouth. If you can't play, I says. I can't play, says he. Then learn right off quick, says I, letting him smell the end of my gun barrel. He caught hold of the harp, turned red as a beet, double E, beet, and commenced to blow. He blew a dinky little tune. Dinky. I remember. Little tune I remember hearing when I was a kid. Prettiest little girl in the country. Oh, mommy and daddy told me so. I made him keep on playing it all the time we were in the car. Now and then he'd get weak and off the key, and I would turn my gun on him as I asked what was the matter with that little girl, and whether he had any intention of going back on her which would make him start up again like 60. I think that old boy standing there in his silk hat and bare feet, playing his little French harp, was the funniest sight I ever saw. One little red-headed woman in the line broke out laughing at him. You could have heard her in the next car. Then Jim held them steady while I searched the berths. Bears. I grappled around in those beds and filled a pillowcase with the strangest, assortment of stuff you ever saw. Now and then I'd come across a little pop gun pistol, just about right for plugging teeth with, which I'd throw out the window. When I finished with the collection, I dumped the pillowcase load in the middle of the aisle. There were a good many watches, bracelets, rings, and pocketbooks with a sprinkling of false teeth, whiskey flasks, face powder boxes, chocolate caramels, and heads of hair of various colors and lengths. There were also about a dozen ladies' stockings, into which jewelry, watches, and rolls of bills had been stuffed and then weighted up tight and stuck under the mattresses. I offered to return what I called the scalps, saying that we were not Indians on the warpath, but none of the ladies seemed to know to whom the hair belonged. Alright, guys, we're gonna continue this beautiful story tomorrow. So, thank you for joining today and see you tomorrow. Bye.